Okay, welcome to the Fires from Within, the YouTube channel where I talk about magic off the top of my head for my benefit and others. So, working with angels and demons or demons, this is something that is everywhere in the world of magic. Most people at least have some sort of opinion about angels and about demons. And they view them how they view them, but from the perspective of any occultist that really has done any amount of study on angels and demons, they know that both angels and demons are a big part of the human soul and psyche. At least while you're here in this body, on this planet. In my opinion, it can get weirder and more mysterious when you go to the other side. Some people believe that you have to call upon a certain entity to cross over a certain way. I think that's bogus. I don't think there's any required entity you have to call. But it is set up in a way where it's very structured from the, I don't really want to say Abrahamic, because a lot of these entities don't come from that original Abrahamic perspective. A lot of them are or were local spirits that slowly were integrated into this system of Kabbalah or high magic. And high magic started with the Sumerians and the Anunnaki. And most of those gods were very balanced, angelic and demonic sort of ways of being. So the stuff I'm talking about is not really Kabbalah, although it uses Kabbalah. Kabbalah in and of itself, just on its own, I think it just rubs me the wrong way. It's very unnecessarily rigid, and I think it kind of dampens progress when you get further down the road if you do things just according to Kabbalah. But it's very useful, and things like the Golden Dawn rituals utilized Kabbalistic knowledge, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. And work how you want to work. Don't listen to what I say as gospel or what some old fucking Jewish guy wrote down as gospel, because that old fucking Jewish guy is just some guy, just like any book on any grimoire, any modern grimoire you could pick up from Barnes and Noble is written by just some guy or some lady on, hopefully their best good faith attempt at decoding and interpreting how to do the magic for you. By the way, I just took a shower, so my hair's fucking wet. But yeah, all those books are written by some fucking guy. And I'm just some fucking guy, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, obviously. But to give you some background, I am someone who has worked heavily with angels and demons. I am someone, so in high magic, or I guess you could say low magic, the right hand, left hand path understanding of things, which I think is, again, bogus. Right hand and left hand path is like such a crude way of saying find your own balance, with polarization towards the light or dark, whichever feels natural to you, right? Like being right or left-handed. Anyway, though, I'm someone who has... Oh yeah, right, sorry. In High Magic, we talk about the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. To grossly and extremely grossly oversimplify this is basically meeting an angel that is like... Oh, let me start over. To grossly oversimplify, it is reaching a state that is halfway towards enlightenment, in a sense. Halfway towards being 100% in the present moment. It's symbolized as being halfway across the abyss. And the abyss is like... This is a lot of things, but it's an abyss symbol for a reason. It might as well be a massive, endless abyss between you and true solar consciousness, aka enlightenment. Being completely one with the present moment. There's so much crap in the way. So, at the halfway point, you do something called achieve the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. And that's when you meet an angel. For a lot of people, they say that it is supposed to be Yahweh, right? Or Jehovah. I think it doesn't need to be that. Maybe it is for some people. But, like I said, that Yahweh guy, based on my research and my gnosis, he doesn't trace his roots as far back as some human souls do on this planet. He's like a very new entity, and he's like an egregore, which isn't anything bad, but he wasn't created before humans. He was created by humans as he creates human experience as well. Study egregores if you want more knowledge about that. But anyway, whoever it is that you meet, they're probably going to look like some sort of geometric shape. That's how you really know you're talking to an angel, or someone using angelic frequency or angelic current. Angelic current isn't like, oh, this angel is so beautiful and righteous and powerful that it has this energy it can use. It's more so like a style of mathematics, like trigonometry. It regulates the universe in that way of geometric shape and rigid structure. So, I'm someone who, on accident, achieved the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. And then afterwards, this angel, this entity, sent me books that taught me most of the knowledge of high magic that I know today. And then also, the left-hand path, the dark side version of this, is awakening the dragon. So, let me break it down a little bit more on the Holy Guardian Angel side, actually. Think of the Holy Guardian Angel as like Schrodinger's cat a little bit. It's both you and not you in the same instance. All its job is to connect you to your quote-unquote higher self, or connect you to the consciousness, get the mathematical formulas right, and running smoothly, the algorithms and shit, to basically make it so that eventually, through downloading energy into you over and over and over again, like applying many coats of paint to a wall, you are changed to the point where you know that you are God. That's the job. You already are, but there's so much shit in the way. You have to cross the abyss fully to reach that point when you're fully in the present moment. That enlightenment also comes with it. And this is the high magic interpretation. The true gnosis and integration of the Holy Guardian Angel is that you literally become God. And so that you are literally Christ. Like, you die and are resurrected in your physical existence. Not like physically getting stabbed, but like you physically will feel it. Like through the spirit world, it will feel very real, and you will die and be resurrected like Jesus. And that is how you become God, how you ascend to the kingdom of heaven. That's from that perspective, right? That's achieving enlightenment, and there's more that comes after that. There's a lot more that comes after that. And it's very secret, hard to get to. The spirits will gatekeep it from you. But it involves building the solar body. People will say that they have a solar body or a light body. I've heard people say this, like, that are into New Age kind of stuff. And what they really mean is that they sat for a while and visualized some light around them, and they visualized or saw a body in the astral, etheric, or whatever plane that was made of light. That is not what the Buddha meant when he said his light body, or the rainbow body, or the solar body. That's just some shit that she made in the astral. There's a lot of that. I don't say that I have the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel just to make me feel better or to make it seem like I'm doing something cool. I wouldn't. Well, maybe I would, because it might have been an idiot if I hadn't had those experiences, but it's a fucking intense experience, and in that moment you completely forget about being a human, living in a body. It is not for the mundane world. If you are sitting and meditating, going home and visualizing being this light being around you, but in the back of your mind you're thinking like, oh, I'm so spiritual, I'm so cool, and like this is the good thing to do, this is the blah blah blah, like all that stuff is serving the human mundane experience, which, you know, you have to balance that a lot. A lot of magic is balancing that, but it is a big no-no and will set you back if you are only doing that. And if you are trying to use magic for that, you have to really give up and essentially be completely nothing to really get to that point. And the only reason I was able to get to that point, you know, on accident, is because I didn't give a shit, and I was very self-destructive at the time, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna meditate, and like, I just want to see, like, what the fuck is up, like, who am I, and like, I want to know for sure, like, I don't care to make myself out to be anything else anymore. I just want to see what the fuck is up with this. And I didn't add anything else onto all that shit for the first time, and I really blasted off and saw the Holy Guardian Angel and achieved the knowledge and the conversation. which is something you only fully understand once you get to that point too. But what I mean by all this is, whether if you're working with angels, especially, you know, you need to shut the fuck up. Angels don't want to have a conversation with you about some fucking new age shit. They don't want to have a conversation with you pretty much at all about magic or about whatever, about all this like granola shit. You don't. They're not really your buddy. They don't want to fucking hang out with you. They're there to do your job, to do their job and your job if they need to. They want you to do your job while they do their job. And that's really all they want. Think of them kind of like as military commandos. Very specialized in what they do. Very specific goals that they're oriented towards. And they always follow protocol. They're the best of the best, and they're in those positions for a reason. Because they always follow fucking protocol. And you don't understand the protocol. You really don't. And if you are just like doing Golden Dawn type rituals, and you know, doing all the rituals you're supposed to be doing, you know, whatever meditations you're supposed to be doing, to in good faith and with sincerity, do what you're supposed to do here, you're not gonna have a problem. They're gonna make sure that all the kinks are worked out and things run smoothly. But if you are calling upon the angels to be like, oh, I'm a shadow worker and I mastered my darkness, and look, angel, come here, tell me how great I am, and tell me how I am a god, and I am God, and tell me all these great things I'm gonna do. Tell me to go to the fucking supermarket and sneakily give energy to people and heal the world and shit. They might play along with you and pretend to be your buddy for a while, just to fucking put you through a lesson in why you need to shut the fuck up and check that ego. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, man. Like, so much, you know, if you're working with angels, so much fucking purifying and all this shit. It's very tedious work to work with angels. It can be very fun. It can definitely be very fun, and it can be kind of like a high, like a runner's high. You know, like a healthy kind of like rush, you know, when you get to certain points. But it's also very tedious, and it's just never, ever, ever gonna be something that is all about like, oh, let's just validate you all the time and enable you and make you feel better. That's not what it's for, dude. You might be able to get some of that, like, in the moment if you really need it just to calm down, and that might fly right by them. But if, you know, I just stress it heavily because it's very dangerous to work with angels and try and get them to serve your mundane desires and get them to prop up this traumatized pain body as God. Essentially, you are desecrating the most sacred thing to them when you do that. Okay, so moving on. I also, again by accident, I don't know why, you can call it lucky and like say I'm very fortunate for having had the left or dark side perspective experience as well, because the dark side is like, if achieving the knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel comes after applying coats and coats of paint of that energy, the dark side experience is the opposite. It's awakening the dragon through breaking open the shell violently. And you're going to pound on that shell with negative energy until the dragon wakes up within and devours that shell from within and explodes out and grows and devours everything around it. And that happened to me. Again, it was completely on accident. And I want to say too, both of these experiences, like, if you're someone who's like worked very hard and still haven't achieved this, you might be like, oh, he's like lucky that he even fucking got on an accident. Like, was this guy fucking like prodigy, whatever? Maybe, honestly, because of what's happened to me. But at the same time too, the reality of it is just as brutal and somber and yucky as it is beautiful and breathtaking and liberating and freeing and amazing. So both of these experiences were fucking awful, just as much as they were amazing. And the awakening the dragons to the dark side part, where my dragon broke out of the egg, out of the shell, and fucking flew to the top of the universe. Like I was literally sitting on the beach, sober, stone cold sober, just smoking like cigarettes. And it was more intense than when I had taken DMT. Like, insane. Completely, like, the world melted away. I was shit. You get to see my fucking... Anyway, whoops. The world melted away. I gotta plug in my phone. This shit's finna die. And I was completely in like higher realms, and I was a dragon, like a serpent with wings, and I was with this other dragon, and we were like looking at treasure together, and we were looking at all the jewels and the pearls and stuff and the gold. It was all like the most intense knowledge I'd ever seen, like very specific, like someone had written a scientific journal about magic, and it was all fully accurate. And yeah, that's called seeing to the eye of the dragon, and it was very intense. And I remember almost nothing that I can quantify into words from that, because I didn't have time to write anything down afterwards. I went crazy, but I can still feel like the knowledge is still there in my body. And yeah, it's more dangerous than going through it on the light side. Both you're gonna have to endure a lot of suffering. You might get robbed, beat up, lose your possessions. You might get in a car accident. You might have all types of things like that happen to you. Ideally, you want to contain everything within your rituals and within your consciousness, like in your temple. But for me, anyway, I was not experienced enough to do that. I went through both sides the hard way, on accident. I still don't know exactly why, but at least I get to share some knowledge. Anyway, so the right side, I went crazy afterward. I was really excited and trying to continually work with that energy over and over and over again, making the mistake of using it to serve the mundane world. And it got completely pissed with that. And I didn't know it at the time, but it showed me what that behavior leads to. It showed me true evil. And true evil, I don't like good and evil is like kind of a myth, right? But for lack of a better word, true evil is essentially the binding of Sophia to the physical world. It is purposefully using this magic stuff to serve things like your ego, like just getting money. You could use it for money because money is important, but if you're actually like binding Sophia to the physical world, if you get it, you get it. You can't do that. That's the mistake. It's like a baby's crying and you give it like heroin and cigarettes. Like that's the level of energetic violence and abuse that is happening when you do that. And so, yeah, that angel showed me all of that. But afterward, once I got my ass kicked, I was the people that didn't need to be in my life were pushed out real quick, and everything was reasonably, like, pretty much. It was a bad scenario, but it was the best scenario I could have been in. And I had that sense of peace that I was doing exactly what I needed to do now, and I was on the right path. The dark side version, I didn't have that. And see, I was protected from physical pain when I had that light side experience. And this is just like, this is me giving advice because, like I said, you want to contain it all, and maybe you can contain it all within your temple and just have the experience in the spirit world. That's great. I hope you can. But a lot of people do this stuff without a lot of experience, and they don't have a dedicated mentor or teacher. And so they need to know what could be in store for them. So, with the angelic version, right? And you're supposed you can work with both versions. I recommend it. But if you want to do only the angelic version, there is the advantage of being protected from physical injury. If you're really actually high up connecting with these angels, it's protected from physical injury and death. The dark side one, it lasted longer and it got more done in a quick amount of time. Like, it was on steroids. But I was not protected from physical pain. In fact, the physical pain was part of the initiation. Like, I ran into people. Like, I got jumped a couple times. Like, sucker punched. And, beat the shit out of on the floor. I was drugged. I was given drugs. I was given opiates, which I don't take. And got very close to overdosing and dying. So and that was in the same day. I felt like I almost died when I got beat up because my ribs were really badly broken. So much so that they were broken even months later after that. And so, I felt like I got close to a punctured lung. But I didn't, just barely, I think. Because all my ribs were fucked up. And even, the clavicle was bruised and shit. And, all the ribs on my left side were broken. It was real bad. So yeah, very close to death in that situation. And then yeah, getting drugged. Like I kind of asked for it, but I didn't. I don't even know if I remember. It was just like I needed to be that close to death again in the same fucking day, apparently. Because in my right mind, I don't enjoy opiates. I tried them in high school and they never did anything for me. I never liked them. And so I would always refuse opiates if offered to me. But someone offered me codeine, and he didn't even say, like, do you want codeine? He said, how much codeine do you want? And for some reason, I just answered, and it was way too much for me. I don't remember exactly how much he gave me, but yeah, so I was like overdosing and dying within the same day. That's the kind of shit that working the left-hand path can make happen. It's the kind of shit that working with demons can do. You know, be willing to go through that kind of thing. That's the risks that you're taking. Unless you are supremely experienced and tutored well with someone who is extremely experienced themselves, unless they're directly tutoring you, I think you're going to have some level of bleed over into the physical world of shit like that happening to you. I don't think it can all be dreams and psychedelic astral experiences for most people working with demons. But yeah, demons and angels will both get it done. Those experiences, honestly, like, they haunt me because I never want to take a drug, even weed, again. And like shit like that, like seeing horrible shit I was doing to myself and the situations I was in that caused me to be around people that would beat the shit out of me without even thinking about it. Like, to an inch of my life, it haunts me. But at the time going through it, I saw it for what it was. And there was some sort of pleasure to the experience as well. And it definitely benefited me in the long run. But at the same time, if I would never ever work with demons how I was working with them back then, because I was doing it like a fucking madman, and I'd have probably have something worse happen to me. Demons love it when you learn from your experiences, and they fucking despise it when you don't learn from your mistakes. They really love it and will benefit you if you're very receptive and learn from every experience you have. But again, like angels, they're not your buddy, they're not your friend. They're at work, they're doing their job. They usually don't have personal relationships with people. Angels, it's like, you know, I don't want to say because I don't know exactly, but in my experience, angels, it's not personal at all. For me, anyway. And with demons, it's like, it's only really personal with Lilith. For me, like, she comes and does things that are beyond her normal protocol of being the feminine adversary, right? But demons, like, they didn't always used to be demons. Okay, so think back to how magic was created by humans. It's created by the spirits too. But on the human side of things, you're a Sumerian king, and you're almost the only one in your entire kingdom of like hundreds of thousands of people that can read. None, the common worker, middle class, even upper class, like merchants that are really rich, they can only read like a few things to fucking sell shit. Like there's merchant like written languages that are only like a few things that very simple. They can't read a book on knowledge. They can't read a book on science or a book on wisdom. It doesn't make sense for them to do that. They're too busy. They got work to do. They gotta fucking do agriculture and shit. So you're like this Sumerian king, and only you and some scholars and scribes that you know can read. And so how the fuck are you gonna communicate and move this information to your people? Well, you're gonna do it with very imperfect symbolism, speeches, teaching through the voice. And before the kings, it was a regular oral tradition, like tribal tradition, mostly of serpent worship. If you really want to go super far back to caveman times. And that slowly turned into the serpent of knowledge in the Garden of Eden and all that. But the original, whatever. Just think back to when it was being created. So you give people all this stuff, and to you, right, as a Sumerian king, you know what you're saying. You're saying, like, okay, this is how you fucking take care of your psyche, and this is how you get to the point where you're having an authentic, enlightening life, and so that you don't have to reincarnate so much, you don't have to come back so much, and you can actually evolve. But humans, they get superstitious, and they get grandiose, and they get all kinds of... Once fear gets involved, shit gets really muddy and murky, and whatever's loudest usually is known to be the correct thing. Even though it's maybe bullshit, but it's just really loud. And so you're like, okay, try my best. But what do the spirits do? They see this imperfect system, and they're like, these people are basically like hermit crabs, jumping from one superstition to the next, one fear-based belief to the next, like hermit crabs looking for shells, and these shells are closing them off from their own enlightened being, their own God consciousness, their own self, or the source of everything, God, if you want to say. So, shit's not really... You're not gonna just educate everybody and have them see all that. Like, that shit's rampant, and it still is rampant. Superstition. It can kill magic. So, basically what the demons did was they started planting these seeds in people. This is my gnosis and my understanding. Started planting these seeds in people. The Jews, they were superstitious and suspicious about the spirits of Canaanite, or the Canaanite spirits. I don't know how fucking old ass city is pronounced, but the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, they didn't like their gods and their spirits. And so they started demonizing them. This was purposeful by the demons. They essentially were in like job interview process or training program to be demons. They had those nature spirit forms. Only way you're really gonna connect with those nature spirit forms is if they really, really want to connect with you in those forms, or if you are actually like descended from real Phoenicians and Canaanites type shit. Anywho, so they, in the collective consciousness, they stop being these nature spirits and they start being demons. They start being evil. Well, now you have a double agent. God has a double agent inside of that fucking hermit crab shell that everybody keeps crawling in. All those shells now have these demons inside of them. So no one actually has to fucking put on their big boy thinking cap and learn a bunch of shit and get all this like spiritual maturity shit down the hatch and eat all these veggies about nuance and all this fucking boring shit and like all this tedious knowledge where nothing really even changes until like you integrate it just right and you gotta keep fucking fixing it and messing with it and make it flow right and all this shit that takes years and years and years and lifetimes even to comprehend and understand. Well, now God has a double agent in the shells. So these double agents can basically create extreme spiritual alchemy out of mundane experiences. It's like if your fucking donkey breaks its leg, you're like, oh, curse Samael, curse Moloch, curse Satan, or whatever. Curse these demons for breaking my donkey's leg. Oh God, please see me as righteous. I'll do whatever. Dude, you just, like, the most mundane shit happens all the time. A fucking donkey broke its leg carrying your heavy ass shit. Probably happens all the time. Just caused this crazy, profound spiritual experience. Right? Brought you all the way to judgment. It wasn't real judgment, but it's enough. It's like poor man's alchemy. It's like if there was a drought or a disease eating the crops that your soul needs to eat, like the normal food your soul needs to eat. It's like protein powder, protein bars, those experiences now that the demons exist. It's not great for your soul, but it'll get the job done, and it'll get you strong enough to keep pushing forward in your journey. Right? That's for the average person. That's why demons really exist in the way they do for the average person. Now, a little while later, this guy in the year 1666, this guy started calling himself the Black Messiah, and he is the pioneer of the adversarial spiritual system. Basically made it so that demons have another layer so that you can consciously work with them and actually get shit done. He laid the foundation for that. And basically, his foundation was that repression is the only sin. Suppression is the only sin. And we should all be sinning all the time and fully enveloped in our carnal desires and completely open and receptive to all of it. And that is the best way to have true union with God. And it kind of worked for him. He had like a whole following, he had a whole cult. He did some things that we in the modern day would say is terrible and disgusting, and you don't have to do those things. Obviously, when you work with demons, a lot of it, it's supposed to be contained within yourself. You're not supposed to go around fucking cursing everybody that comes your way. You're fucking doing every drug you want to do, or fucking every person that you want to fuck. You're gonna be miserable if you do that. They're just kind of supposed to have that attitude and work with them with that energy, but keep it contained. There's nuance to it. There's discipline that needs to be done, Like Satan, Saturn. It's one of the most disciplined spirits you can encounter. These demons, they have their, like Satan's all about wrath, but also he's all about restraint and using your head. Like Lilith's all about lust, but also she's all about like proper self-care, consent, and not putting yourself in situations you don't need to be in, and getting the fuck away from people who are taking advantage of you, and making sure everything's equal exchange, things like that. Nowadays, if you aren't working with the demons in this way, then, it's not 1666 anymore. It's not the Black Messiah era anymore. You're not gonna be getting done what you want to get done by just like being like, oh, I'm so evil, let me work with these demons and do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, dude, good luck. You're gonna get fucking treated like how they treat the fucking pedophile corporate elite of the world, that all they do with magic is like get high off of it, and they're like, how do you do, fellow people with souls? I have a soul too, look what I do with mine. That's just like a metaphor. I don't even know if I believe in fucking souls. It sounds like not conspiracy, but it sounds like a meme. Like, why does there need to be something separate from the spirit that exists? But whatever. That's another tangent. But, how they get treated is, like, yeah, they serve the dark side of God, right? But they so massively fuck up that all they are is, like, drones, slaves to these demons. These demons will keep them chasing their desires over and over and over again. And, yeah, demons are not your fucking friend. Basically, the way to actually work with them, the healthiest way, is to number one, keep light spirits around to balance it out. Keep fucking Michael and Raphael around if you don't know any other spirits. Angels were great. You don't have to, obviously. Everyone has their balance. Some people are so adept at working with demons that they don't need to work with angels as well. Some people prefer to, say, work with like Egyptian spirits that have a more benevolent side, like Ra, Horus. But yeah, keep some light around to balance things out. I highly recommend that. Unless you're some crazy savant and you know what you're doing, but if you are that, then you don't need my advice anyway. And do not use what they are giving you to serve your mundane desires. All of that lust and sin and desire is supposed to propel you to your actual purpose of apotheosis or awakening the dragon or true alchemy. Basically, how you can understand this is, it's profitable for the demon to come and crack that shell open so you don't hide in it and awaken that dragon, right? But what happens if when that dragon gets awakened, you don't assume that position and fly as the dragon, or so that whatever, you don't do anything with it that matters to the actual dragon. You fall back down to the physical world, and you're like, how do I use this to get pussy? How do I use this to get money? How do I use this to get blah 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 blah? Like, how do I use this to fucking be a cool guy? How do I use this to be the fucking best black magician in the world? Type shit like that. Like, the dragon does not give a fuck about any of that. That doesn't come with you when you die. That doesn't stay with you over millions of lifetimes. That doesn't stay with you in your own paradigm existence. It's all bullshit. And so if you fall to that, well, now it's no longer really profitable to try and get you to fully realize the dragon. Now it's only profitable to crack the egg and take the yolk. There's no dragon there anymore. You're not fertile. Natural order's not being kept up. So now the most profitable thing to do is to make you their bitch, make you their slave, basically. And you can get out of that. It doesn't mean you have to like go call to Jesus and repent and shit. You probably have to call some angels and get shit figured out and get your shit balanced. And it's gonna take you a while to get out of that. But ideally, for them too, the most profitable thing is for they scratch your back, you scratch theirs. They don't want really to only work with, they don't want to be slave drivers, they want to be kings, right? They don't want to just work with people that are serving the mundane world, serving this like false preconception of Sophia's bondage, basically. They want to work with people that are actually assuming and becoming the dragon. That's what's most profitable for them. That's what actually creates longevity, long-term success for both parties, you and the demons. Okay. So yeah, that's what you're aiming for. Yeah, let me talk about some angels and then finish up the video, because fuck, it's been like an hour. I keep blabbering about demons. I guess I just know more about demons than angels. But yeah, angels, they're like mathematical, kind of like demons are kind of like, I see them as sort of like chaotic, like they oppose the idea of becoming like a proper shape. They manifest in a chaotic way, in like a continuous way, and usually there is no like resolution sort of to the manifestation. Angels will give you a lot of resolution in the manifestation, because that's how they are. They like to complete the shape, like triangles, squares, trapezoids, like the resolution, all complete one shape, right? The demons want you to validate yourself and not have to find that resolution from any spirit or manifestation, to have it come from within. So yeah, angels, pretty fucking great in that way. Like, they will really get it done in the easiest, simplest way. And they behave how you expect them to behave most of the time. So there isn't a ton of confusion, really. They're very easy to work with, because they kind of behave exactly how you want them to behave, and then they do their best to like wiggle you into the stuff that they're trying to show you. And they're both inside and outside your consciousness, both you and not you in the same instance, as well as the demons. And they can command demons. They can command demons. They don't have to. You don't have to work with that paradigm. But if you do, make sure that you aren't trying to maliciously bind the demons or enact some sort of like justice. Like, it's like you're friends with the fucking McDonald's manager and he like gives you a discount. And the demon's like the McDonald's manager is the angel, right? And the demon is the employee that makes your fucking burger. And you're cool with the angel. And so you're like, hey yo, let me get this discount. And then, you know, the guy's like, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll give you the discount, you know, since my boss told me to. The guy that has the structure, yeah, just fucking told me to, so yeah, that's what I'll do. But it's still just another guy that works at the fucking McDonald's. It's not that deep of shit like I'm binding the evils of the world, or I'm gonna make sure these demons don't have influence over my life anymore. If you try and control that with angels, it really doesn't work. Like, yeah, that's the shit that King Solomon was talking about. But you really, stomach growling, you really don't know what King Solomon was on. And, like, I just don't recommend that paradigm. I think it's outdated. I don't think demons can be controlled or commanded by the magician, the human. You have to figure out a way to dance with them. It's kind of like surfing. Like, you catch the wave and then you stay balanced. You can't make the wave come out of nowhere and carry you to the shore. And you can't force the wave that's crushing you to stop crushing you. The waves are gonna fucking do whatever the fuck they were gonna do anyway. The angels can like pull strings with you, with demons. Because demons will, like, sometimes it's just too tempting for them. They want to have a little fun with you. They want to, like, torture you a little bit and put you through something that they can feed off of just to see what you're made of. Kind of like just toying with you a little bit. But yeah, including angels in that, make sure that that sort of shit doesn't happen. But there's always the option of trying to do it yourself and walking completely in the dark side and devouring at every point where the demons try to fuck you over a little bit. But it's so hard to know when that's happening because they will entice and entrance you, and they'll kiss your face and make it feel real good. But yeah, and at the end they'll tell you like, yeah, you're a fucking moron for believing that. Like, clearly you were getting fucked up, it just felt good. So like, you know, are you gonna fucking go and do heroin? Are you gonna fucking, you know, follow your desires into a fucking ditch? Are you gonna do that shit? You know, like that sort of thing. But angels optimize everything. They optimize everything. And fuck, my stomach's growling a lot. I'm hungry as shit. Sorry, this disturbing noises to you. Shit, I don't have that much more to say about angels. Maybe I need to work with them some more. I have a lot more knowledge about demons. Let's see. Oh. Big thing with angels. they will always, I don't know if I said this already in the video, but they will do whatever you say as if God itself, God himself, herself, said that directly to them. If their highest of high said that directly to them, they'll do it the same way if you say something to them to do. So be very careful what you tell them to do, what you ask for. It's a very good idea to be very broad with it, like guide me, illuminate me, heal me, protect me. Then they can add the specifics themselves. Yeah. If you do something like go fuck up my enemies, don't say that to an angel. You can say that to Lilith. The angel will do it, but then the angel will, like, basically what you've done is you've manifested something that doesn't have a complete mathematical, like divine mathematical resolution. And so the angel has to make a formula on the spot for that divine mathematical resolution. And 9 times out of 10, if you ask for something petty like revenge or maliciousness towards someone, or like a girlfriend or whatever, then the formula that creates the divine resolution is you getting your ass kicked and going through some shit you don't want to go through. That can manifest as a bad relationship, as the spirit world no longer making sense to you, as shit getting violent energetically or physically. Like, when you work with angels, real shit happens instantly. Same with demons, but it's less, it's dangerous in a different way, right? It's less dangerous to ask a demon to go and fuck someone up, because they don't really care. They'll just do that and come back and be like, alright, you want to actually do the work now? If you tell an angel to do that, it's like, okay, dude, like, you just put a fucking, like you just, I'll use the McDonald's analogy again. You basically ran up into McDonald's with a fucking entire tuna, and you fucked up the whole kitchen. You dumped a fucking 80-pound tuna in the kitchen, and now they fucking have to chop it up and make your damn sushi. And they fucking have to, like, make their burgers and shit. That's actually a terrible analogy, but basically, you've done something to physically fuck up their job, and so they have to fix your mistake and make your mistake. Okay? So they will bitch slap you. But based on their protocol, they cannot refuse your command. Yeah. Okay. Oh, some books you can read about angels is anything by Damien Eccles is great. People hate on him because they don't they don't know what the fuck be going on, but he's chilling. He's good. He like, take everything with a grain of salt that he says, and you're good. He knows what's up. Goddamn, I gotta fucking eat. I think that's it. Yeah, angels and demons. If you want to work with only angels, I feel like there's bullshit involved with that. Or, yeah, in conclusion, If you want to work with only angels, I feel like there's a lot of bullshit involved in that. If you want to work with only demons, I feel like there's a lot of bullshit involved in that too. I think there's slightly less bullshit involved in only working with demons, just because of like how overwhelmed you'll be with the actual occult knowledge and shit. But ideally, I think you should work with both at the same time, because it's just mathematically proper to do so. But yeah, different strokes for different folks, and if you naturally feel a certain way, then go for it. But if it really like pisses you off to say that, like, what I'm saying, you should work with both. If it pisses you off and you only want to work with angels, or if it pisses you off and you only want to work with demons, and it pisses you off to the point where you keep thinking about it, like, oh, this guy's fucking stupid, dude. There's all these reasons why he's wrong. You probably need to fucking work with both. It's not many people can actually just work with one side of things in that high magic current of angels and demons. Yeah. Cool. Peace.